Welcome to another episode of Founders Club. Today I'm really excited to be interviewing D-Rock. He is the right-hand man to Gary Vaynerchuk and the creative director of his VaynerMedia empire. We're going to be breaking down his ultimate marketing game plan, how you can consistently produce great content without a big team, and some of his top hacks for growing your business online. If you have any questions, put them in the box down below. Make sure you roundhouse kick that like button so other people just like you can find this video. And as usual, if you like money and you like real estate, hit that subscribe button and we'll see you on the inside. Welcome to Founders Club, the show for real estate entrepreneurs. We are live, sitting here with D-Rock, an absolute legend in the content marketing space. Long time, I don't know what you call it, right-hand man, videographer to Gary Vee, Gary Vaynerchuk. Just excited to have you on. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, often I introduce myself as videographer. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people that make Gary's team work. And so I never like to take that much credit. So videographer, creative director, whatever you want to call it. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Yeah, excited to jump in and talk a little strategy. I know you're kind of at the front line of all the things that are happening in social media and content world. So why don't we just start with just like maybe taking a half step back and kind of talking about just how you got in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I fell in love with the video camera at the age of 14. My older sister had one. She had a little baby, my first nephew. And as soon as I picked it up, man, it was love at first sight. And then from there, it evolved into, I want to make movies. And then as time and as I grew mature, I was like, I kind of want to just do my own thing and create content for the internet. Started freelancing and making videos and stuff, and reached out to Gary, offered to work for free for him. Actually, not even work for free, to make a video for free for him, to then further my portfolio. Eventually he said yes after a lot of DMs and a lot of messages and all that stuff. And that was about 7.5 years ago, and I haven't looked back.
So what was it? So that's interesting. So you basically got connected with Gary through cold outreach.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I had seen him talk at Columbia. There was like a free talk happening. Me and my buddy were going, and I saw him and I'm like, yo, this guy is really dope. I like his story. That night I went through and watched all of his YouTube videos. All he really had were like keynotes and the wine library videos and the random one-off that he did with like Nate and all the other people that worked in his life. And then I was like, you know what? This guy could be a really good portfolio piece. Why don't I just offer my services for free and make him a cool video? And so yeah, I had tweeted him. Instagram really wasn't a thing. You couldn't really message people at all. I had emailed him a few times, and then eventually one day I had made the most money I'd ever made freelancing, and it was pouring rain outside. And I am very ghetto. I like carried everything on my back, and run through the turnstiles in the subway and just like figure it out. But this day I was like, you know what? Let me just hop in a cab. Because I was like, you know what? I made money. Hopped in a cab. That's when I saw Gary's tweet of like, hey, I'm trying this app called Kick Out. It's K-I-K. And it's like a messaging app. And he's like, come follow me. Almost like what he did with TikTok back in the day. Like, hey, I'm trying TikTok out. Come follow me. So I did. I messaged him right away and sent him a 1.5 minute video that I had made and said, hey, I want to make a free video for you. And fate and luck and hard work, all that stuff put us together at the right time, you know?
That's crazy. How cool is that? What a great story. And like people always ask like, how do I get mentored? How do I get coached? How do I get to these top producers? And like one of the recurring themes on the show and just talking to other successful people is just like they just take that leap of faith. They try to add value first and they just come from a, place of giving and adding value. And that's when they get connected with these amazing people.
Yeah, listen, I'm starting to write a whole book on this right now, just like how to get your dream job. Because right now, if Gary called me and was like, hey, I don't think we can work together anymore, I don't have the money, if something weird happens, I would go and produce a 20-minute short film of anyone I wanted to, aka just using video clips on the internet of them, making a cool little mini doc and hoping that it gets in front of their eyes. And I think that's how a lot of people can get the jobs they want right now. Just provide immense value up front, do it with the right intent, and worst comes to worst, you have a great portfolio piece, right? I often find that when people offer their work for free, they're offering it for something that they care about, which means they're going to put in more effort, and the end product is usually a lot better than even like some of the most paid jobs they'll get. So
Yeah.
I immensely believe in free work.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense. So what was that first video that you did for him?
Clouds and dirt. It was funny. It's where he talked. I followed him around for the day for the first time ever. Didn't really know him. Didn't really like ever interact with him. Didn't know how he was gonna act. He didn't want to wear a mic, like we do now all the time. And he didn't trust me. I didn't like we didn't know each other. Like we just it was new. And luckily by happenstance, we're in the back of a car on the way up to upstate because he had a keynote to give. And the way that Gary writes articles is he records audio into his phone, and while someone's asking him questions, then someone will then transcribe it and write it for him. The article was about the clouds and the dirt, and so I was able to use that like audio that kind of helped tell and mold my story. Because I was freaking out. I didn't know if I had a good video or not.
So cool. And then what happened? You sent it to him, and did he use it, or did he just love it and then wanted
Yeah,
to talk
sent it
more?
to him, published it right away, and then what he started doing was tweeting it out individually to people. Because back in the day, like his YouTube channel had 23,000 subscribers. His Instagram had like 23,000, like 30,000 followers. Like his Twitter is his only big platform, so he would individually send it out to people. And then I started making a CRM. I would copy and paste everybody's name that he sent it to, DM them, and then it's funny. I said, "Hey, I made this video. Would love to make this for you." And the two people I made videos for after that were Ted Rubin and Chris Brogan, which were like super humble people, incredible people, and yeah, it was a good experience. And
That's crazy.
honestly, I just love doing that stuff. I would do that right now. 7.5 years later, I would totally just like go start making random free videos because,
Yeah.
again, like people expect things for their time when their time isn't worth anything. And so I tend to like to provide value up front to prove myself because that's how I think you beat the competition, you know?
100%. It's a great way to look at it. Um, I love that. So, a couple things there. One thing I just want to touch on is kind of that like behind the scenes style. Well, before we get into that, like 7.5 years ago, you said Gary only had 23,000 subscribers on YouTube and whatever it was on Instagram, another 20,000 or something. And if you think about like where he is now, and just in just 7 years, I guess my point is like that's really crazy to think you can go that far that fast.
And
Um,
I want to make a point here real quick because it's very, 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 very important. And I've been saying this story a lot. Yes, his YouTube subscribers are 23,000. But what happened was he had made 1,000 episodes on another channel called Wine Library TV. And those 1,000 wine videos, he did 1,000 videos every day, 5 videos a week for 3.5 years on another channel, and he took them all off and he's putting it on the Viddler because he got a deal. And so he would have had a lot more subscribers if he would have kept it on YouTube. But I don't want to like discredit. He did 3.5 years of an episode of 23 plus minutes every day for 3 years. Because again, like I talk to a lot of people who have personal brands every day in my DMs, and I'm like, yeah, but Gary did 1,000 episodes. Do 1,000 episodes and then you start your biz of 7 years. Like people are so impatient these days. Like, and I think
that's it. That's a really good point and a really great distinction is I think a lot of people feel like they're just going to shoot a couple videos, put them up, and reach superstar status. You know what I mean?
will not
And it
happen
just
unless
doesn't really work like
I
that.
mean listen because here's what actually does happen is people are They look at the anomalies. They look at Charlie D'Amelio. They look at the people who've gone viral, and but also that's a lot of work too. And you gotta be smart. You gotta hit the right moment to maintain that too. It's a lot of work, but viral is a big word these days, and viral doesn't exist in everyday practicality of content creation when you're a creator. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you on that. You can't make it viral.
You can't. I mean, listen. There is science. Like Mr. Beast, who's one of the biggest YouTubers right now, he has a science down to it. Well, again, it's calculated. It's work. It's a thought process. Kanye has his calculation down for when he's going to make his new album, and how he releases it is so strategic. Like, yes, there are a few talented people who know and how to figure that out, but not everyone, and it's not practical to try to compare yourself to
Yeah.
Kanye, Mr. Beast, or Gary
Yeah.
Vee. You
And
know,
to your point, like Mr. Beast was making videos like counting to 100,000 or whatever when no one was watching. So like
100%.
he put in that work up front too.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people these days who haven't done a lot of work to get to where they are. That's just me. I guess that's the company I keep. But yeah, I think hard work is a big variable.
Yeah. And content marketing is the long game. It's not shooting a couple videos and then sitting back. It's
I,
shooting video after video for a long period of time, building up a huge library and releasing it
yeah.
bit by bit in lots of different ways.
What I've come to realize now, because again, 7 years of working for the same dude, you kind of start looking at things a little different. What I've realized about content is that it's on there forever.
Yeah.
So legacy is super important to us, and also, um, 7 years ago, I was 23. Now I'm 30. You know, kids that were watching our videos at 19 are now 26. So people are not patient, right? Like, if you're saying something to a 19-year-old on a video and they continue to watch you for 7 years, they're also in a different place. Those people are now getting jobs at the biggest companies in the world. They're becoming CMOs, they're becoming thought leaders and inventors. Like, people don't understand the impact that you can have with your content. And I want a lot more people to start thinking about that, right? Like, there was one video on YouTube that was made up a mashup of like Will Smith talking, like motivational videos. I watched that video every single day when I was a young kid, and that I would say that video is the reason why I wanted to make videos. And just that little impact, I get now to do that every day of my life, and that's so energetic.
Pretty
Um,
cool, yeah.
but a lot of people should start looking at it that way. Think of content that'll provide value to somebody else, because every view is another human. Unless, yes, there are computer generated things, but like people are so grossly underestimated. If you have 20,000 followers on Instagram, you can fill up Madison Square Garden right now. You
Crazy.
know, so
Yeah.
like, just adding perspective to it too is really important.
Yeah. No, it makes total sense, and I want to get into a little bit of the content stuff. One thing I'm just curious about because it really seems like you guys kind of pioneered that like behind the scenes, like fly on the wall style. So talk to me about kind of where that came from or how you guys developed that.
Yeah, so honestly, the first day I filmed him, I followed him around for a day, and I thought it was cool, and I made a short film. But as soon as I got in to work with him, Stunwin and a few other people on our team were like, "Hey, you need to go through like these keynotes and like edit these like mashup videos for YouTube and stuff." And then one day, Gary was like, "Hey," he pulled me aside and said, "Grab your camera, let's go into this room." And we started the Ask Gary Vee show. And so then that ended up doing well for like a year and a half, 2 years. Like that was like my full focus, that and the keynote stuff. And then honestly, I just got bored, and I was like, bro, I really want to like do something else. And Casey Neistat, who's a big YouTuber, had just started the daily vlogging thing, but his were very like he did it himself. He filmed it, he edited it, he told the story. And I was like, Gary, we have to do this. We have to do this. And he said no. And then one day, I had filmed a bunch of basketball games for him at like 5 a.m. in the morning. For him and his buddies, they were all playing. Some days I would hop in and play too, but I'm terrible. I think I'm only good at boards. Was the only reason I was invited back. But that day, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to follow him around. I showed up for his next meeting. I got access to his calendar, and he's like, "What are we doing?" I'm like, "I'm following you around." And then that was Daily V1. And then from there, we fell in love with the format, and we were like, "Let's go," you know. But then what ended up happening was, one day he texted me like, "Yo, like, come over to my apartment on a Monday morning. Let's go film this video. I got something to say." And he had gotten so many messages from people saying, "I hate my job. I really don't want to work. I really don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to work anymore." And so then we made this rant called the Monday Morning Video Rant, and that video doubled his Facebook page from 500,000 to 1 million followers within a week. And so we were like, "What's this?" And then, so we kept doing the Daily Vee thing. We kept filming the vlogs and stuff. And then one day we were on a podcast with Charlamagne the God and Andrew Schultz back in the day. And there was a clip, and I heard it. And that moment, there was like a 1.5 minute clip, and I was like, that moment reminds me of that Monday morning video rant. We clipped it, we put it up. Yet again, we brought massive viral success through that video. Again, gained a ton of traction, and we're like, wait a minute, it's not the vlog that's important. It's the micro clip from within the vlog. All the moments that would have died in the air in the wind, we now have caught on camera. And that's when Gary got real serious about Daily V.
Yeah. What a cool story. Just that one little soundbite. So like, how do you guys come up with all the different types of content you guys are testing and trying? Because it seems like, to your point, you just mentioned already a couple different styles of content. So how do you guys like approach that in front of a whiteboard?
Yeah. Remember how I said, like, let's talk about legacy, like, let's make sure you're providing value to the other person? When
Yeah.
people care about views, they tend to gamify and try to make the content, like, a little bit more selfish. Most of the time, it's about them. And so what we realize is, like, let's not care about views. Let's get every kinds of content made for everybody, for them to see it or hear it or read it the way they want to read it, see it, or hear it. And
Mhm.
so we were just like, we just got to make content on every platform, right? Like, yes, we are going to make TikTok. Yes, I am going to make daily vlog. Yes, we're going to do stories. Yes, Twitter. Yes, LinkedIn. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, we'll put out a 7-hour vlog on YouTube. Yes, we'll put out a 5-minute podcast. Like, we have just said yes to every type. And then honestly, through the years, you just continually test. We don't really care about the look and the feel of like of the content because we want to hack your attention. We want you to stop in the feed. So that's why, like, if you look at Gary's Instagram, there's no cohesive brand. It's just like, how do we stop people in the feed so that they can then watch and consume and hopefully
Mhm.
gain some value from it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
I guess Gary words it like this, like empathy for the consumer. We want to be like, we want you to watch it however you want to consume it, you know?
I like that. Empathy for the consumer. I like that. Yeah, that's good. So one thing I think that a lot of people, when they look at like a Gary Vee or some of these big time content producers, they like get overwhelmed, right? Because it's
Of
not
course.
something the average, realtor or business owner is going to be able to compete with. But so, like, what advice would you have to the littler guys that, don't have a big team?
Well, it's funny. The reason I think why you and I are talking here is I also have a small little brand now that I've kind of cultivated over the years. And I wanted to show people that you can work for somebody. And here's what ended up happening. I'm hiring a lot of people. Like me and Andy on our team would try to hire a ton of people. All these creatives would come in, but they'd want to build their personal brand and do Gary's work. Gary's work would fail, and we'd be like, what are we doing here? Like, this is not what we're doing. I ended up making all my content mostly on my phone. And so I would say there's so many incredible tools right now, especially now, like not when I started, but right now there's so many tools. If you use Twitter, you can screenshot every quote that you put on there and post it on Instagram. And you have now 2 pieces of content.
Yeah.
Right? So I think too many people are looking at, oh, how do I become Gary Vee? Well, he filmed YouTube videos on a webcam for a long time. Like
Yeah.
set up a camera and filmed 1,000 episodes. Back to our original point. You got to put
Yeah.
in work for a long time and continually put it out. And it doesn't have to look good. The message and the value of the content has to matter. If you're continually hawking your service, then it's just not going to work out. And you're not providing value to the end consumer.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I like whatever you can do on the phone. I think that's the right answer. I think we talk about pocket producing all the time and just do it, right? Like Gary just made those 1,000 videos. He was probably in a room by himself with a camera and a janky light or whatever it was.
He had no
Uh,
lighting. He had his buddy Mott, who was in the wine library as an employee of his, just turn the record button on, in, out, and that was it. One take.
yeah.
So, but here's what I'll say, because when I talk to a lot of content producers and people that want to build brands, the one thing that I did for me personally was put an alarm in my phone. And I said at 8 a.m. or 8:30, I had to post something. And I did that every day for a year and a half, and that built my habit, right? There is things you need to do to like cultivate those habits. And
Yeah.
honestly, the biggest lesson that really blew my mind was the days where I was like, cool, this is gonna really help people, like I'm really gonna do it. I overthought it, and a lot of times that didn't work. The days that I really didn't want to post, the days I really didn't want to like think about anything and I really didn't want to do it, I ended up posting the best stuff because ultimately I was like, how do I really provide value to them?
Mm.
And how do I really get into their mindset? How do I really help people? And that's where like
Yeah.
my networking post came about and like all these things that I try to do of like, how can I help you? Let's talk in the comments, let's engage. And again, something that's very, 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 very important is you want to amass a ton of followers because of what you say. But followers are a community. And if you're not constantly responding to messages, comments, or DMs and trying to provide value, you're not going to go anywhere. Especially like the real estate agents and all the other types of personal brands that are coming out. They're posting
Hmm.
to get likes, and there's 10 comments in their like last post they have not responded to. And I'm like,
Yeah.
the audacity that you have, the sheer lack of humility you have to not even respond to people who have taken their time out of their day to help and to say something about you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great point. That was one of my big Gary takeaways too, was respond to every effing comment.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
worked.
like
Like literally took me 3.5 years to build my Twitter off of that. I was on it every day responding to people, you know?
yeah,
And people want to always come to them. You got to go to other people. You got to go engage with other people that are in your industry. Try to provide
yeah,
value in other people's comments. Like
yeah,
we're all human. Like if you're in a crowd of 10,000 people and no one came up to you, you'd be like, what's going like if you go up to other people that you gotta put in the work too. You gotta go on the offense.
I like that. So speaking of offense, I want to touch back on something you just said. You talked about the days that you don't feel like posting. Because I feel like I try to
Oh
be pretty consistent with what I'm posting, but we all have those days where we just don't feel like it. We don't want to write a caption. We don't whatever. We can't think of anything. Like, what do we do on those days?
yeah, I mean, listen, right now my last post was a week and a day ago. Honestly, I only know that because I was just randomly on my Instagram for a second, and I was like, why haven't I posted? And honestly, like I'm just going through some shit that I don't want to do anything. Like we're all human. If you can't do it, don't do it. But what I'll say is the hack that I figured out when I'm like really in it is write up a bunch of posts on the days that you are inspired.
Mm,
You know the days when it's actually easy to write and actually easy to do? Write 5 of them, draft them.
yeah.
And then, like, on the days, you pull it up, nope, done. Thank God, I'm out. Like,
Ah. No, that's a really great tip because there are those other days where you're like you're in the zone or whatever, you're in the flow
yeah.
and you can just spit out a couple, so you might as well just create a little bank and that way on the days you don't feel like doing it, you just go back to the bank and pull one out.
And
Yeah.
also, like, I like curating. I like finding things that I fuck with and resharing. That's another hack, right? Like, find content that you find inspiring, tag that person, give them love, give them credit, and there's another piece of content, right? Again, back to the let's go on the offense and find other people within your community or things that you want to be associated with and do that too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another great point, is it doesn't have to be original, right? If there's a crazy piece of industry news that happens, you could talk about that. If one of the big industry influencers has something happen, you could post about that.
I mean,
Right now in real estate, everyone's talking about uh, how crazy housing prices are and the moratoriums and all this other stuff. So there's always news coming out about that stuff that we can just find, post, tag the source, maybe helps build a relationship with that source and then go from there.
1,000%. I mean, there's so many pages on the internet right now that are only built off of curation. Yeah,
Right.
only. That's
Yeah.
all they do. So
Yeah,
yeah,
100%. I love it. Doesn't have to be original. So cool. So what about so this is a question actually my business partner wanted me to ask you is because I know there's a lot of people that listen to this that are, they are doing content, they are filming regularly. What are your advice or what are your tips and strategies on going back to find that micro content, to like pull out the gems, to kind of repurpose things?
yeah. I mean, listen. I think my whole career has kind of been built on that. That's like what I do.
Yeah.
If you're a videographer and you're the one like doing it, if you have the luxury of like taking a picture of the timestamp when you're in the moment, that's
Mm,
what I do. I use my Instagram stories, take a picture of the timestamp I heard something, and then like
that's a good tip, dude.
write a quick note. Write a quick
Talking
note.
to my video guy right now.
Amazing. What's
Yeah.
dude's name?
Brent
Brent.
Barstow. What up,
What's
Brent?
up, bro?
Shout out Brent Barstow.
Good job. Maybe. Yeah, that's what I do. I would take a picture and then write a quick note, save it, and I keep listening. So then that way, it's so hard to go back through all the footage again all the time. So that's how I started doing it. And now,
Mm,
because we have a bunch of people on our team, there are other people reviewing that footage now and pulling out the gems as well. But they will
yeah.
prioritize the clips that I have marked off because
The timestamp
I
ones.
tend to have it here on here.
No, that's cool. That's actually a really great tip because, like we film a lot of stuff, and to your point, like if we throw an event and it's 3 days and there's a bunch of speakers and there's testimonials and there's the networking event, the side conversations,
Yep.
and you end up coming back with like 70 hours of footage, and then it's like too overwhelming to jump and look at, you
Well, that's
know?
why I start with the timestamps that you've already marked off. Like even
Yeah.
if you're like 10, whatever, like you already have 10 more clips that wouldn't have had. And then, at another time, schedule time to review that footage and go through it, write an Excel doc like 1224. And then sometimes when I'm like, yo, that's really it, I'll like add a little fire emoji next to it. Like really
Oh,
like really like hack it that way.
yeah. No, that's huge. That's really good tips.
And then
Um,
also,
all right, let's hear it.
I have two other tips. Mashups. There's something that you said a year ago, then you can now like cut up that clip and then add new context to that and make a split screen on Instagram. Date it like a year ago. Like we do this for Gary all the time. They always work. Because people are like,
Mm,
what did you say a year ago? What is he saying now? And they want to like make sure that they're also like on it, up to the nose. So that's a good tip. And then if you go to a concert and you have your favorite band playing and you hear the song, you want to hear the song that you love, you want to hear the hits, even though you've heard it 1,000 times on your own, repost stuff that has done well for you in the past.
Mm.
Every month, I would go back. You should go back and like go to the last 2 months and like see what popped off and repost it.
That's like the super easiest hack ever.
Because people are too busy and they don't fucking care about you. That is
Right.
the number one most liberating statement that I could ever tell anyone.
Yeah, I totally
For
agree.
I work for Gary Vaynerchuk. That is my full-time job. There have been posts that I have no idea they put out there. I know it. I just don't have enough time to like pay attention. And if my full-time job is to pay attention to Gary Vaynerchuk and make content off of the content that he's posted, and I miss
Yeah,
stuff, people are missing
100%.
their stuff every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, like I bet you couldn't even remember what your closest friends posted 3 months ago.
No, no one actually cares. It's very passive. A lot of scrolling on all these social networks are they're bored. They don't even realize they're doing it. They're like just bored. Like this is the real nature of it. So that's why hacking attention. And another one, another. I'll leave you with another
All
tip.
right, let's
Uh,
go.
I call it thumb stopping. Uh,
Okay.
anyone that you have working for you who's making content, reviewing content, even your personal assistant, anybody that consumes you or the internet, have them save content that has stopped them in the feed and send it to
Mm,
you or your content producers and say, try to replicate this.
that's really good. Yeah.
And that how
Yeah,
like
might as well copy what's working.
yeah, and honestly, like there's nothing really been done new before, you know. So like make it your own. Like I'm not saying rip it off and steal it. I'm just saying if
Right.
that title design really stopped you, or there was something that someone did in the video, take that, bring it back to your workshop. Figure out, how do I fit myself into this, and do
Yep.
that. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. That's really good stuff. What about, let me go a little more real estate focused. Like what tips would you have for the real estate folks out there on how to kind of grow, get more engagement, and create, content that is valuable?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I have my best friend is a real estate agent in New York, and I always tell him like, bro, just film videos on your iPhone and make quick little reels about them. Add the little like, hey, 2 bedroom house, 185, like like just be super utilitarian, or provide information for the buyers or the sellers.
Mm,
Just provide
yeah.
information, provide value. And honestly, then do that for 5 years. And then let's talk again.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think, that's one thing that keeps coming up. I think the time factor is really important because, to your point, there's blogs that were written 5 years ago that just took a while to get found, and then they start popping now. And there's videos that you do 7 years ago that just take a while to get found, or maybe they didn't resonate then, but they resonate now.
How about this?
And
How about this? To be super relevant and super current, Bitcoin. Bitcoin was around for God knows how long. You can get it for pennies, $1, whatever. How many years did that take to until it became really mainstream?
yeah, a good decade.
A good decade. So like
Yeah.
think about you. And that's like a currency, that's a coin, that's like think about you as a content producer. Give it time, you know? Gary did 4 years of Wine Library TV every single day, 20-minute
Yeah.
episodes. 4
Yeah.
years. And then
Yeah.
that's when he just got his base, you know? And then another
Damn.
7.5 the way we're doing it.
No, that's cool. Yeah, I love it. It makes total sense. And just doing it a lot, doing it consistent. It's just like anything, really. Like just like prospecting, just like any of these things, right? Like you got to do it for a while to get your skills up, to be any good, to get found. And then once people find you, it's got to be good so that they actually watch it, share it, engage with it. And it just, you do it consistently and you do it long enough. And your early videos are going to be terrible,
Oh my god.
and that's okay.
I hate my early videos. They're so bad.
Yeah, yeah,
I have another thing too, because here's what really messes people up. Cool, you start doing it. 3 years later, you have a lot of traction. Now you're getting like 2,000 likes on your photo, and you're like, yes, I'm pumped. What people end up doing is they keep resorting back to the content that keeps getting them the likes, and they're not testing. Like during quarantine, I posted a plate of tomatoes on my Instagram, like just a random plate of tomatoes I was eating for lunch, and it was the worst engaged photo. But so many good conversations came out of that, and so many things that came out of that. So now I'm just posting all these random things all the time because why not? Listen, you're posting to build a community, right? You are posting to have the conversation you want to have. So let's post stuff that you want to talk about, post stuff that you care about, post stuff that will provide people value. And I think that will, it might not lead to me getting 1 million followers anytime soon, but it will definitely lead to me being happy and having conversations I want to have. And that's all I care about on social is like, let's just talk. Like, let's link up and let's hang, you know?
And let's see what happens.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. I noticed you do that a lot where you'll like spit out just in your comments like, "Hey, let's all meet, like tell us what you need or tell us where you're from, how we can help." And it just really gets the people just kind of going back and forth. Good engagement for you, good great value for them when they're connecting with different people. So yeah, I love that. Um, let's talk about that kind of behind the scenes style that I think you guys are really famous for. Is he, is Gary always mic'd up? Like, how do you guys do that? Is it
Yeah,
just,
so in we've gone through a few iterations of this now, and like currently right now we haven't done anything like a year and a half. I'll just like go if we're like recording the audio for his book or if he needed random one-offs. But back in the day, yeah, he wore his mic all the time. But because of he had so many meetings with so many big corporate people that didn't want to be filmed, we would have to email every single person and say, "Hey, do you want to be filmed? Is it what it's for? Da, 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 da. We have to get approval." Then some people are like, "Yeah, but we want to watch the video before. We have to send them the video before." Yeah, a lot of work, you know. But yeah, he wore his mic most of the time.
wow. And then how do you guys do that without it like, I don't know if feeling awkward is the
Oh,
right
no.
term,
It
but
is
like,
the most awkward thing ever. Like, me and Gary are just walking restaurants. Imagine a dude walking with a cameraman behind him. It is
right.
awkward. That is
Yeah.
awkward. And you just gotta give it up for the higher purpose, you know? Like, we don't care. It's funny. The big hesitancy of, like, Gary not wanting to do it every day was he was like, "This is douchey. I don't want to walk around with a man." Like, I'm a bit tall dude, too. I'm, like, taller than him. And he's like, "I don't want to walk around with a dude behind me all day." But that's what ended up happening. And that's what became his life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's
Yeah,
very interesting
it
how
is
that.
super hard. It is super awkward. And, like, I've been in so many awkward scenarios where I'm like, are we sure? Keep the shot, keep the shot. But it's like super weird, you know?
Yeah. And what I mean, what's cool about that though is that's how you're able to get those moments, those like
That's what I
moments that aren't
thought.
generally filmed.
That's right. Like I always thought of myself as more of a journalist than a videographer. And so I was
I
like,
like that.
I'm a journalist here. Like I'm just documenting this man's life for the big documentary in 10 years. So yeah. Leave me alone.
No, that's good. Yeah, that's really good. Okay,
There
cool.
have been a lot of scenarios where people be like, "Bro, you gotta turn the camera off." Like, there have been so many scenarios. So, like, cool, be respectful, be nice, turn it off. You
Yeah.
know, there's so many other
Yeah, it
days.
makes sense. And I love what you said about you just got to get over it and do it for the higher purpose. Yeah. Yeah, it makes total sense. What about this? This is something I hear.
Yeah,
What's that?
and just don't be a douchebag. Like, be nice, right? Like, honestly, like, people start getting into their own hype, and they're like, "No, but like, you don't know who I am. This is what I do." Like, don't be a douchebag. You know, it's really
Yeah.
important. Like, that's the reason why I'm still with Gary. He's 7.5 years in, and he's the nicest guy ever.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Right?
does seem really down to earth, really humble. Um, okay, cool. So what about I love don't be a douchebag too, by the way. But what about I think some people that get stopped by the fact they're like, I don't do anything interesting. I'm not interesting. Nothing about what I do is interesting. How do you, what are your thoughts to those people, or what would you say to them?
Um, I don't know. I love people. I'm obsessed with people. I don't think that anybody's not interesting. I think, yeah, you might not be going to an awesome concert. You might not be meeting with an awesome CEO. But again, 5 years of doing, 4 years of doing wine library videos, talking about wine, you
Yeah.
you can become interesting. Meaning, like, people find there are millions of views on cats on the internet. You know what I
True.
mean? Like, people just
Yeah.
love random things. People are voyeurs. Like,
Yeah.
people love being voyeuristic. Do something that you like, and you won't think about it.
Hmm.
You know?
And I think there's also ways to make just about anything interesting. Like, if I think of insurance, right? Like to me, there's nothing interesting about insurance. Like, so if you're an insurance broker, like how could you get creative, right? But then it's like, okay, what about like shooting a video at a house that had just burned down and talking about like what the options are, what's next, how you can help, and just sharing those stories. And now
Or
all of a sudden you've got really interesting content that would be valuable to, all the people that find themselves in that type of a situation where they've had a fire in the home or whatever, and you can be that valuable resource.
yeah, and I love that. I think that's super smart. I also think that like I often say, or Gary often says, become the mayor of your town, meaning like
Right.
try to just be general. Start off with like, hey, there's this new bakery that opened up down the street. Hey, Joe is the neighbor that you should always pass by and wave because he's the sweetest old man. Like things like that. Be more just like the talker of the town, and then that will also get you over. Like, who's this guy just filming all these cool random things? I love
Right.
that fact. And then also like there's other like I'm so tired of like sit down interviews. I think people should be like doing interviews while they're playing soccer or should be doing interviews while they're playing ping pong. Like there's so many ways to mix it up with like how you present your content,
Yeah.
right? Like an insurance person should be cooking and with a guest and like figuring like talking about insurance that way. Or another one that's super easy for a lot of brands to really do is like man on the street walk up to people like, "You know what insurance is?"
Mm,
Like,
really good.
for like
Man, that's a super easy one that you're right. Anybody could do that.
on your
Like,
phone,
right. What are your thoughts on the real estate market right
on
now?
your
What are
phone,
you, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and then you film.
Yeah, no, that's really good. That's another great tip.
Again, copy. Go out and look what's working. Try to replicate it for yourself, and just start getting your creative juices going. And
Yeah.
why we believe in volume so much is you never know what content's gonna hit, right?
True.
I
Yeah.
again here's another anecdotal story. Like my whole job is to find awesome moments that will like help Gary's brand grow, and I think I've done an okay job at it. There was a kid on our team, brand new, a few months in. He saw this random clip. I watched all the footage. I didn't think anything of it. It was like Gary talking about blueberries. And then there's like a little motivational rant at the end, and that was it. And I just didn't like put it all together. He did. That video is one of the most viewed videos on Gary's Instagram,
Huh.
right?
Crazy.
And I had been doing it for 5 years. You gotta like be humble. You gotta like because again, content you just don't know. You have no idea. It could be the horrible, ugly photo that you took that with a bomb ass caption you don't know.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
it's such a good point, and that's also like part like the mental game that's involved because you'll put out something, you'll be like, oh man, this is the one right here. This is the banger. Like I know this one's gonna crush, and it'll get like 20 likes.
Yeah.
And then that random thing you did with when you had a bad hair day and you were just grumpy or you were hungry and you did a thing and just kind of put it out there and that's the one that blows up. And it's just like, to your point, you just never know.
And that's why like again, setting alarms in your phone, structure your structuring yourself to be creative is like kind of a hack, and I really believe in that because again, like you just never know. And then also like a little unknown secret. I mean, pretty known because Gary said it 100 times. You got to test. Like
Yeah.
I have made so many videos, so many like hundreds and hundreds, thousands of videos at this point, with many different titles on them, and test them across all different platforms. And whatever one ends up working, will then reconform that for the other platforms.
Mm.
You have to always be testing. Like I have made again, like this Monday morning video, we have probably made over 200 titles for that one video. Always testing it, trying to shoot different formats of it, opening it different ways, like adding Gary's new content, trying other like there's just so many ways to like remake content, DJ content.
DJ content, I like that. And I also like structure yourself to be creative. I like just having an alarm and just making it part of your daily routine that you're just going to either, whatever it is, shoot a TikTok, shoot an Instagram, shoot a live, make a video, write a blog post, whatever it is, but having that structure to do it every day, I think is huge. Um,
Yeah, I had to write that
another,
down. I'm tweeting that out. No.
yeah, that's a good one right there. um, What about like, so we're talking about old content, right? What about old content, um, storing it, repurposing it? How often are you going back to it, versus just continuing to just put out new stuff
All the time.
all the time? So you just have a team of people that's like scouring the archives for stuff.
Yeah, and then also like something we did back in the day too that really helped us in the beginning when we were small was at the end of our videos we would say, "Hey, what was your favorite part about this video? Comment below."
Mm.
The audience will give you 2 insights right away, and then you use that to like, "Oh, let's go back and listen to that. Wait, that actually
Oh,
is."
that's good.
And that's how
That's
you.
another perfect little hack.
That's,
And a
you
lot of times in the comment, they'll timestamp it for you.
Yep, that's a little guy. Is like that's an easy hack. Literally, like
Yeah.
then we would try like a little lower. You gotta go watch some of the old YouTube content. We would go like a little lower thirds, like, hey, comment below. Hey, comment hashtag 60-second club. If you're the first person to comment within the first 60 seconds, that helps generate our views, right? Like there were so many hacks that we did. We did little timeline things because IGTV is the thing that has the time bar. But before that came out, there was no way to tell how long the videos were. So we needed to
Yeah.
keep people there. So we made little time bars at the bottom of our thing, little numbers on the top right. Like we did so many different little hacks just to try to keep people to watch the content.
It's like a mad scientist of content.
It is creative and it is math. Like you have to put something out and then try 10 different ways to get that seen.
Mm,
Right?
yeah.
Another free hack. You have a certain amount of following on Instagram, I'm sure. And your Twitter might not be as strong. It is free to put in your Instagram stories right now, hey, go follow me on Twitter. It is
Yeah.
every single day you can do that, every once a week, maybe every Tuesday, Twitter Tuesday. You put out a cool quote on Twitter, you share it on IG, you say, follow me on Twitter, you'll get 2 more followers.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
free to get new
Yeah.
followers on your other platforms, and it's very important to diversify.
And cross promote each other like that. It's all free to do that. Makes total sense.
Super free.
And then as far as like your older YouTube videos and stuff, do you just let those run, or are you
Oh yeah.
going back and like retitling,
Oh,
retagging,
we're doing.
regraph thumbnailing?
Yeah, we've done some like new thumbnail work because our thumbnails were like atrocious. And then we've done some new titles and stuff. We're always hacking. We're always trying to figure that stuff out.
Cool.
Yeah,
So yes, you do, and oftentimes it does make a difference.
sometimes. Sometimes no.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
Okay.
cool website called TubeBuddy.
Too,
T.
buddy.
Yeah, and you can automatically test your thumbnail or even post a video. It'll tell you which one might engage better. And then another hack that Mr. Beast showed us that I think is really cool is if you're posting YouTube videos, what you should do is here. Let me. Oh, I don't have. I lost my phone. I don't have all my phones situated yet. If you pull up the mobile app of YouTube and you pull up like you're scrolling through the videos and you see all the little thumbnails, screenshot that, take that screenshot into Photoshop, then put your thumbnail in place of one of those thumbnails and see how it looks to you on a small mobile device.
Huh. That's good. Yeah,
And
that's
then
easy. That's easy to test.
and that's just another visual test, right? To like try to hack the YouTube thumbnail game.
Yeah. Shout out Mr. Beast on that one. Um, okay, cool. So, just got a couple more questions to wrap up here. One of which was from the Real Closers group. Um, how does someone get a meeting with Gary? And I think that was more not like them asking, but more like he's so busy, he probably has a ton of opportunities. Like, what would someone do to get attention with someone like that? To be able to get a meeting or whatever.
Listen, I don't, I tend to avoid this because I get asked every single day, probably 10 to 15 times, how do I
I'm sure.
get in front of Gary? I mean, listen, you heard my story. I would try to bet on that.
Yeah. No, that's actually a great point. Is just exactly the way you did it. Offer value first, do them something for free,
The
you
most
know?
under, the most underrated thing right now that I don't understand is I would hire a videographer tomorrow if they made a good video of any video on Gary right now. Tomorrow. We need to hire creators every single day. I would literally hire, if a creative is hearing this, if you edit a dope video off of some of all the content we put out on the internet and you send it to me and it's good, I'm hiring you.
I'm calling you at least. Yeah.
No, but you understand, like, literally,
Yeah.
like, I have had so many emails, "How do I work for you? How do I work for you? How do I work for you?" I'll send them the 7-hour vlog of we put out a 7-hour vlog before, and I'll be like, "Here, edit something out of this," and then I get emails back or no emails back, and the emails back often say, "You want me to watch 7 hours of footage and then make something out of it?" I'm like, every single day I film 12 hours of footage and have to watch through it and make stuff out of it. Yes, I
Yeah.
would like you to make something out of it.
I was just thinking, what do you think the job is?
And no one does it. There's been
Yeah.
like a few people in the past and the video output wasn't good. Like their product wasn't good. You know?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's not hard, like honestly, like pay attention to how Gary makes stuff. It's very easy.
Yeah, you heard it right there. So that's a good in right there, especially if you're a videographer looking for something.
Yeah, and
Make
also
it first, holler at D-Rock.
Yeah, and also like just be empathetic for the people that you are trying to get a job for too, right? Like as a videographer, it's cool. Uh, we're going through hundreds of applications. Don't you want to stand out? Don't you want to take the little initiative, maybe what, 3 days of work to stand out? Like it is so crazy the audacity that people have when what they want is a life-changing opportunity.
Mm, very true.
And it's like
Very true.
and the number one trait I look for when I'm hiring a creative is curiosity. If you care an ounce about something, you will put a lot more effort into it than me having to then tell you what to do every single day. I don't want to
Mm,
delegate. I don't want to have to tell you, hey, make something dope, and they're like, what does that mean? And it's like, no, I want to be like, make something dope, and then they go into the little rabbit hole and they make something.
yeah.
Like that's what I
Yeah.
did. That's how I made my career. Like I was making short films for Gary after my work day was over at like 9, 10 o'clock. I was staying at the office till 2, working on a short film that I wanted to make for him because I cared about it and I wanted it to work. And I wanted those things to see the light of day, and that's what I look for.
I love it. There it is, people. There's the playbook.
I will literally
Okay.
drock at vaynermedia.com. I will literally hire. We will literally at least take the application call if I get a good product sent to my inbox.
There you go.
Uh,
Email it direct, boys and girls. Okay, cool. And then another question I like to ask everyone is like what tools, apps, softwares that you like that just kind of make your job easier, better. You already mentioned TubeBuddy, which I think is awesome. Is there anything else that you love?
Twitter. I love it.
Twitter.
I really do. Like it's just so I would challenge everyone here if they don't know what to make for content, tweet 100 tweets one day. Because eventually you're gonna get bored of posting something that you like thought you wanted to talk about. Then you're gonna go like reshare other stuff. Then you're gonna go like share different video links. Then you're gonna if you do like the 100 tweets a day challenge thing that I keep trying to tell people, it gets you into that like, oh, I don't really have to be so precious about this. And then that's how you get into making content. Don't be so precious. So Twitter, Instagram. I love Instagram stories. I use it all the time. Draw shit, clean up stuff, and save it. TubeBuddy. I use Adobe Premiere. That's what I edit with. Photoshop
Awesome.
is awesome. Yeah, I'm pretty basic, honestly. I'm not like a super techie kind of guy. I'm more
Yeah.
cut and
There
dry.
you go.
Yeah.
That's plenty right there. I love it. I think TubeBuddy's definitely a big takeaway. I've heard a lot of people talk about that one. I haven't used it myself, but definitely excited to check that out. Um, Last question I have, and this is just more of a personal question. I have two young boys at home, and I like to ask all of the successful people that I interview just kind of what their advice would be to younger people on how to be successful in life and business.
How old are they?
Right now, they're 4 and 6.
Yeah, I mean, let them play. Like the word that I honestly like the word that I've been trying to accept the last month personally in my own journey is play more. Um, like my mom and dad didn't think I was going to be a videographer. Like, but they wildly encouraged me to be creative. They wildly they the one thing that my mom and dad did was they were like, "Hey, you can play instruments. Hey, you should try painting. Hey, if you want to write, go write. Hey, if you want to do this, go do this. If you want to like play sports, like they just pushed. We didn't come from anything, and so but they allowed me to just try the things, and then
Yeah.
you can tell when that kid doesn't want to do it. And there is a little bit of like, cool, you got to push them a little bit just to like get them off their butts, but let them play, and then don't apply so much pressure. There's gonna be so much information, but by the time they're like 14, 16, where they really gotta take life seriously. Just
Yeah.
let them play. Don't be too hard on them on the grades. That doesn't actually matter, unless you're
Yeah.
trying to be a doctor. Um, yeah,
No, it's true. Yeah,
I
I love it. I love letting them play. I think I was raised in a similar way. My parents just put everything in front of me. Hey, try a violin. Hey, try a dirt bike. Hey, try karate. Hey, try canoeing. Like just whatever, and see what sticks. And like you said, you can tell real quick what they're into and what they're not, and just let them dabble, let them play.
I mean, a lot of parents right now are kicking themselves in the ass because they told their children not to play video games, and video gamers
Yeah,
are making millions of dollars a year right now.
yeah. Now
And
the
that's like
gamers are
that.
laughing.
If you're like an average player, you can make 60 grand.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy. Yeah, there you go. I
So yeah,
love it. Well, thanks a lot, D-Rock. Man, I really appreciate it. A lot of great insights, a lot of great hacks. If you guys have any questions, make sure you put them in the box down below. We'll circle back on all of those. And once again, if you like money and you like real estate, this is the show for you. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.